All right, let's talk about the Charlotte housing market. It's a bit of a puzzle, right? On one hand, you hear it's absolutely on fire, but then you look at the data and things get a little weird. We're going to break it all down and figure out what's really going on. Okay, so here's our first piece of the puzzle, and it is a big one. Get this. More than half, 53.3% to be precise, of all active home sellers in Charlotte are cutting their prices. I mean, think about that. That is a huge number of sellers dropping their asking price. So you see a number like that, and what's the first thing you think? The market's cooling off, right? It has to be. I mean, if everyone's cutting prices, well, maybe not. Yeah, not so fast. Because here's the curveball. Even with all those price cuts we just talked about, the median list price for a home in Charlotte is still holding firm at a pretty staggering $475,000. So what gives? This is where the mystery really starts. All right, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at how fast homes are actually selling. That's going to give us the real story on buyer demand. So let's dive into that first. And whoa, look at this. Homes in Charlotte are practically flying off the shelves. The median time a house is on the market is just 70 days. To put that in perspective, that's a full 2 weeks faster than the North Carolina average and a whole week faster than the national average. So yeah, things are moving really fast. And this right here, this really shows you that momentum. So in any given week, you've got about 261 new homes hitting the market. But at the same time, 462 homes are being sold. They're going under contract. Do the math? That means over 200 more homes are leaving the market than are coming on every single week. Okay, so that brings us to this really important idea called months of supply. It's basically a simple question. If no new homes were listed for sale starting today, how long would it take to sell everything that's currently on the market? In Charlotte, the answer is just 2.6 months. And let me tell you, that is an incredibly low number. And when you stack that up against other places, you can really see how tight things are in Charlotte. It's less inventory than both the state of North Carolina and the entire country. So everything we've seen so far, it's not screaming cooling market. It's screaming super high demand and just not enough houses. Okay, so we've established one thing for sure. Demand is strong. But that just brings us right back to that head scratcher we started with. How can a market this hot have so many sellers cutting their prices? Let's take a closer look at the pricing itself. First off, let's just put that $475,000 median price into context. That's not just a little high. That's a full $50,000 more than the median price for the rest of North Carolina and the national median. So right off the bat, if you're buying in Charlotte, you're paying a serious premium. And here it is again, our big clue. Look at what sellers are actually doing. Over half of them are cutting the price. Compare that to the tiny fraction, just 1.6%, who are actually raising their price. It's not even close. Price drops are the name of the game. And you might be thinking, well, maybe the homes are just bigger in Charlotte. Nope. Even when you break it down by price per square foot, Charlotte still comes out way ahead of the national average. So it's not just about size. People are paying more for the same amount of space. Okay, so let's lay out all our clues. We've got super fast sales, barely any houses for sale, and really high prices. But at the same time, all these price cuts. It just doesn't seem to add up. So it's time to put it all together and solve this puzzle. So just to recap real quick, fast sales, check. Tight inventory, check. High prices, check. These are all textbook signs of a hot seller's market. And then there's this one giant conflicting piece of evidence, all those price cuts. Now, to really get what's going on, we need to be clear on what a seller's market is. It's simple, really. It just means there's more buyer demand than there are homes for sale. That usually means sales are fast and prices go up. The sellers basically have the upper hand. And that is the answer to our puzzle. The Charlotte market is a strong seller's market. The price cuts aren't happening because there aren't enough buyers. They're happening because sellers know it's a hot market. They hear about bidding wars, they don't want to leave any money on the table, so they list their homes for a super ambitious price right out of the gate. And then reality hits. They find the ceiling of what buyers are actually willing to pay and have to bring the price back down to earth. Okay, that's the what. Now for the so what. What does all of this actually mean for you, whether you're looking to buy or sell? Let's make this practical.
All right, if you're a buyer, the high prices and fast sales mean, yeah, you're going to face competition. But all those price cuts, that's your opening. It means there are deals to be had, especially on houses that have been sitting for a little while because they were overpriced. And if you're a seller, the demand is definitely there for your home. But the lesson here is crystal clear. Price it right from the very beginning. Be realistic, and you'll avoid having to make those public price drops down the road.
And really, that brings us to the core challenge for anyone in the Charlotte market right now. You're in a market that's moving at lightning speed, but it will also punish you for being too greedy. So the real question is, how do you balance that need for speed with finding the absolute right price? That's the tightrope everyone, buyers and sellers, is walking.